Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today we're going to be doing another trying to fix it video, trying to fix items bought from eBay with very little experience to see if we can get them going again. So in this video here it's going to be two Apple iPhones 6s. So obviously not the latest ones, but still a very good phone. Now, I'm not really an Apple man myself, I'm more of an Android man, but yet my daughter and all her friends seem to be obsessed with Apple products, so I thought I had a quick look on eBay, and what I liked about it is the spares seem really cheap, I suppose because there's so many phones that's being broken up. You can get a bit of a bargain on the spares. So what I did is, I bought one phone which was expensive. This is a working phone, but it's got a smashed screen. Yeah, there you go, there's the crack down there. And then what I've done is I've bought a cheaper phone. Oh, this is pretty good, so it does actually come with everything you need. Oh, that's a nice little touch. So obviously I won't be needing that. I got that one out of something else. So yeah, it looks like the seller looked after this one. Right, okay, so this one's supposedly working, but this one here I got for not a lot of money. I think it was £50 or £55, and this one basically says that it doesn't turn on or it doesn't charge, something like that. But then as soon as I bought it, the seller got in contact with me and said it might be locked, you know, the iCloud locked. So in other words, it is going to be locked, isn't it? So with this phone here, I'm presuming this has done the rounds many times on eBay, but as long as it's got a working screen, my idea is that I'm going to be taking the screen off this one and putting it onto this one, and then hopefully I will have a working phone. Now, money wise, you're not really going to save much money by doing this, because the price of iPhone 6s's have come down quite a bit now, and you can actually buy them from a place like CEX in the UK for I think around about £180. So I paid £105 for this, and I think it was £55 for that. So you're looking at £160. So I'm not going to save any money, but very little money, but if I can get the screen swapped over, then it will so I'm just looking why this looks so much darker. If I can get the screen swapped over, then basically at least I will have hopefully some spares on this. So if something else went, like the Touch ID or something, or the camera, then I will have leftover spares. So that's my thinking behind it. I'm wondering if there's a screen protector on here, because it just looks so dark. Oh, it's coming on. No, it just looks a lot darker than this one here. You know, the whites don't look as white. Maybe it's just purely because this is rose gold and this is a silver one. So the condition of this one here is actually, the rose gold one is a lot better. No SIM card installed. Insert a valid SIM card with no pin lock to activate phone. Right, okay, well we won't worry about that yet, but it does look like it's working. Yeah. Yeah, that looks from the limited knowledge that I've got of iPhones, it looks to be okay. Right, let's turn this off. Now, as with all these things, I've got no prior experience with this whatsoever. I've never taken apart an iPhone, so I've never even owned an iPhone. As I say, there's iPhones in the house because of my daughter, but and iPods as well, but I've never taken them apart. So what you see in this video is probably not going to be the correct way of doing it. I'm wondering if that's an aftermarket screen, because if you look at both of them there, this one just looks a lot whiter and blacker, you know, when they're off, than this one here. I mean, you can even see it through the lens of the camera there, and if I swap them over, you can still see that that's much whiter than this one here. So yeah, but as I say, it doesn't really matter, because if this one's working, then I can swap them over anyway. Right, okay, so let me show you the eBay listing of where I got them from. So this is the most expensive one here, so as you can see, £100 and £5 postage. and it says here, there's a bit of a write-up on it. It says Apple iPhone 6s 16GB on Vodafone, so that is the lowest one as far as I know, so that's the cheapest one. Was in the case until I noticed it had pitted the back of the phone, so I took it out of the case and dropped it within a week and cracked the screen in 2 places. Please see pictures. But phone works fine with no issues. Had a new battery fitted a few months ago from Apple. It comes with the box, charger, cable, plug and headphones. So it all seems, that seems completely believable. So now let me show you the, let's call it the dodgy phone, because this is definitely iffy. Right, so this one says Apple iPhone 6s 16GB again, and it's rose gold unlocked. And as you can see, this one was £50 plus £5 delivery. And it shows it in a box, but it didn't arrive in a box. And it just says on it, very little information. It just says excellent condition on the external, but I bought this on eBay and it won't turn on, unfortunately. The phone is for parts, does not work. And as I say, when I actually then clicked to buy it, I did get a message from the seller saying that do you want a refund, because this may be locked to an iCloud account. But I thought, well, by that time I'd already seen this one here, so I thought it needs a new screen, so I thought I could swap it over. So now what I'm going to do is, I know obviously this one's unlocked because I've spoke to the seller and I got him to wipe everything from it, but with this one now I'm just going to put it into the internet just to see if it is locked to the iCloud. So to do that, what you have to do on the 6S is basically remove the SIM card tray, and then on this little bit here, down at the bottom here, we'll have what's called a IMEI number, and you type that number into the internet and it will tell you whether the phone is locked or not to an iCloud account. In other words, if it's got Find My iPhone on it or not. I'm just going to go to Google. IMEI. Right, okay, so there's loads of websites out there, so you don't have to use this one. It's just the first one I clicked on, but if you have a look there, it says iPhone iCloud check activation lock, and you've got to put in your IMEI number there. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Right, okay, interestingly this is a 64GB model, which is pretty good, but it says Find My iPhone on. So it's of no use to me even if I was to get it working, so it's only going to be good for spares, because obviously Apple do this to stop their phones getting stolen. It's a deterrent, because what's the point of nicking a phone if Find My iPhone's on, because the seller can't do much with it apart from sell it for spares. Now hopefully this phone isn't stolen, hopefully it was gone faulty, and hopefully it's been sold through approved channels and ended up on eBay, but who knows. Right, okay, so I would recommend, if you ever have an iPhone, to first of all, one of the first things to do is turn on Find My iPhone, because at least then it's going to deter other people from, it's not going to deter them from stealing it, but if they steal it, they're not really going to make much money from it. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do is, I can leave that out, I might as well take out this one as well. I'm really curious why that's a complete different colour. It looks like it's got a screen protector, but it hasn't. Right, okay, so I've had to buy this special little kit here because you need a special little tool for the bottom of these. Look at this. Right, okay. So if you have a look there, you can see that I need a special screwdriver for that one, but there should also be a screw in there, and there's not. So obviously this has been a part before. It did say in the listing that it had the battery changed by Apple. You would have thought that Apple would have put the screw back in properly, but possibly it's fallen out over time. Let's have a look at this one here. And this one, they're both missing. Okay, so that's not a very good start, is it? Right, okay, let's still undo the remaining screw. Okay, so for this one you need a 0.8, forget the name of them now, but they're like a little star, tiny little star shape like that. If you want them anyway, you can buy them very cheaply. You can just buy like screwdriver, just type up in Amazon or Google screwdriver for iPhone. It's a shame the other one's missing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some heat, because I need to basically lift this phone. I need to take the screen out from the metal here, and then there's a few connectors up the top. I'm just going to get the hairdryer and I'm going to heat it up. Well, it's very securely held down. Do you know what? Let's start with this one here. Let's give that a heat up as well. Right, I can feel this one moving a bit. This has probably been opened up many times. Oh look, by the headphone jack, is that where it comes out? Seems to be a bit in there. I'll check that out when I get it off. It's coming. There we go. Got to be careful because there's connectors up the top. Right, we have to undo these screws here. I couldn't really see there's missing screws, so this has obviously been played with many times before. Need a very small crosshead screwdriver for this top bit. Right, now we're just going to pick off these connectors. That should then release the screen. There we go. Right, okay. So hopefully I can just put this one on that one there. No, I can't. Right, okay, there's a rip on it there. But I don't think that was done by me now, because I was quite gentle. But I don't think they're the actual ribbons for the screen itself. That might be for this front-facing camera or the little speaker up there. Right, okay. Definitely looks a bit iffy. Right, okay, so I really need to try to ease this out. I'm going to go by the headphone jack again, just in case that's the secret. Let's have a look on this one. Yeah, it definitely goes in there, doesn't it? If you have a look, can you see it's narrower there, so that must be where you have to pick it open from. The headphone jack. I'm going to add more heat to it. See, what I need is I need a flat bladed tool to get this out. I might try and get a little knife to see if that will help it out. And you know what? I should have just used the tools that came in a pack. Look at that now. Ah, that's it. There we go. I should have just used I got a very cheap repair kit ages ago for phones. Just this one here for a few pounds. And this little sucker really does work. There you go. Look at it now. It's opening up there. There we go. Okay. It's coming apart nicely. I want to do it gently just in case that other screen doesn't work, because this phone as it is completely usable. There we go. Right, and now that's better. This just looks better inside. The battery hasn't got smudges on and I can see the screws up here. Right, so I'm just going to take off this little plate again at the top. This one here. I'm not letting the screen go all the way over because I don't want to smash up these ribbon cables. Longer screw there, let me keep them in order. There we go. Right, okay, so that's been separated. Right, so I'm going to have to swap over that ribbon cable, the one that's snapped on the other one. That's the bit I need to put now onto the other screen. There is like a little bit of a gasket here. Before I pull that off, well, it's just a bit of stickiness. Before I pull it off, I'm just going to see if it already exists on this one here. This has got missing screws here as well. This phone's probably been taken apart all over the place. Mind you, that one there didn't have that weird gasket thing on it. I haven't actually checked these phones for water damage, have I? There should be a little thing in this SIM card slot bit that shows whether it's been damaged by water. I've just noticed that looks like it's supposed to go on the inside. This is the proper screen here, which is broken, so I know this works although it's broken. And can you see this is flapping around in the wind here when it should be under that slot there? So this phone's definitely been has been messed around with a fair bit, I'd say. Okay. So now we're going to put this onto the good phone and hopefully we might get lucky. Okay, so they're all back in, so hopefully now it will just be a case of putting it back and it working. It looks like they have to clip in from the top first. There we go. Right, I'm not going to do it too hard because I actually just want to see if it's working to begin with. That's not a good sign, is it? That screen doesn't work. I just heard it. It's not displaying anything. Unbelievable. Right, so not only is the phone iCloud locked, but also the screen doesn't work as well, which is irritating. There's nothing there, is there? We're buying stuff on eBay because it just seems that the majority of items are just seems to be a place just to get rid of stuff that's just utter rubbish. But to be fair, the phone with the cracked screen, that looks to be working just fine. Check for water damage. So this is the good phone here. Can you see just in there there's a little white, see there's a little white sticker there just by my thumb, kind of little circle. So I believe that that should go red or something if it's in contact with water. Let's have a look at this dodgy phone. Right, well that's definitely got a bit of red on it. I wonder if it's supposed to go more red than that. Because there was definitely corrosion on the speaker. You know, the little ear speaker. Right, okay. I don't think I'm going to waste my time with this phone. I'm going to put the broken screen back on, and unfortunately I've got to look into now getting a new screen for this. But at least I know it's easy to fit. I presume when you actually get a second-hand screen that you've got to change all the Touch ID over, but that should be easy enough. Yeah, I believe this to be a third-party screen, because when I look through here there's no gauze, and yet when I look through this one there is gauze. So I think that the reason it looks faded like this, a different colour, I think is because it is actually not an original Apple screen, which kind of defeats the purpose of having an Apple phone, because one of the nicest features of them is the screen. Right, this is interesting. I put the faulty screen, you know, the one with the crack on it, onto the broken phone, the one with the iCloud lock, and plugged in the charger, and the screen is working, although the phone is not working. Right, okay, so we're back again now, and this is actually around, I don't know, I think 3 or 4 days after the bit of filming that you just watched. So where I left it before was that the rose gold phone, this one, which is now working, the iCloud locked one, was flashing on and off. Do you remember I put the broken screen, which is this screen here? You see the cracked screen, the same cracks as before. When I put the broken screen on it and plugged in the charger, do you remember it was flashing on and off? Now, obviously, the original screen that came with the iCloud lock phone, the rose gold screen, was faulty, and that's this screen here. Even though it looks absolutely perfect, it wasn't working. So when I plugged the charger in, it was flashing on and off. That's just because it was completely discharged, and eventually, when it had enough charge on, it did turn itself on. But it had the iCloud lock on it, which I showed you. And also, when I tried to put my SIM card in, it basically said that, you know, the SIM's not supported. So the first thing I did was I put it into this like recovery mode, which is where you hold down the power button and the home button for, I don't know what it was, like 10 or 20 seconds, while having it plugged in to a little laptop or a PC with iTunes on it. And then that allows you to put it into, it allows you to restore the phone. Now what that will do is it will get you past a password lock, because obviously on this phone there was a, well not obviously, but there's either a 4 or a 6-digit PIN that you have to put in to get yourself into the phone. But that doesn't help you with the iCloud lock. Now I don't really know how I managed to do it, but what I did is, now I don't know if this is the process, the correct process, or whether I just got lucky, but basically it said to set the phone up, well sorry, to begin with, to set the phone up I had to put a SIM card in. Now I've got a Vodafone SIM, hence the reason I bought a Vodafone iPhone here. When I put the Vodafone one in, it said it's not supported, but it doesn't tell you what the phone is locked to. And then when I looked at SIM unlocking on the internet, I had to know what carrier that it was originally with, and I didn't know. So what I did is I went down to the local petrol station, and basically I bought up all the SIM cards for you know, for the ones kind of, you know, in the UK, the main ones. So I bought 3. I bought giffgaff, I bought EE, and I also bought O2 as well. And obviously I'd already tried the Vodafone one, and these are the main ones. There's probably other carriers as well, but these are the main ones. And I got them all for 99p each, so I thought it was worth the risk, because then when I put it in there I can then find out which one it's locked to, and it was locked to the O2. So when I put the O2 SIM card in there, it recognised it as an O2 phone. So at least now if I do want to get it unlocked to Vodafone, I can now know that it's O2. But forget about that, I've put the O2 one in there and it was working, but obviously the activation lock was still on there. Now it gave me an option to set it up using an existing iOS device like 11 point something or other. So I got the iPad over, brought it near to this, and then it started to allow me to set it up using the same as the other iPad. But then the activation lock came on, and then I think I clicked on something like activation lock help or something, or unlock with passcode, and all I did was, amazingly, 0 0 0 0 0 0. I did it 6 times. I pressed 0 6 times and it unlocked itself. So I presume the last owner had the passcode lock or whatever as 6 zeros, which does kind of make sense, because when you're setting the phone up, there's so much to do. At the beginning you might just think, oh, 6-digit code, you can change it to a 4-digit code, but you might not know that when you're initially setting it up, and you probably think, oh, for the time being I'll just do 0 0 0 0 0, because that's where your thumb is already. And it managed to unlock the phone. But this phone has severe water damage. But still, I think it's a bargain for £55. I'll tell you why. My son's only 9, so he doesn't really need a phone, but he's always on about, like, you know, I want to play Fortnite on a phone, or I want this, or I want that. And this is an iPhone 6S with 64 gigabytes of memory on it, so this will play Fortnite absolutely fine. So basically, this does actually work well, apart from a few things. The Touch ID does not work, even though this is the original the original Touch ID from the phone, because I believe when you change the screen over you have to change a Touch ID, because it will only work as a home button. And this does work as a home button, but it doesn't work as a Touch ID. Now that's not really a problem, but other major problems are Siri doesn't work properly, so I might have to look at the microphone up here. So when I hold this one down, and this is using the microphone from this screen, so I don't know if I've damaged it before the swapping over, because remember, I'm not used to doing this, so I might be a little bit more rough than a professional would be. But if I hold this down, what time is it?
Glad to hear it.
See, it's not picking it up, it's just picking up the last few. What's the weather like?
Seems like I cut you off.
Can you see? It just says but like, so it's not, it's...
Okay, maybe not.
But then it seems to recognise it after. It seems to be the initial thing it doesn't recognise, so... What's the weather like in London?
I'm not sure I understand.
Can you see it misses the first bit? So obviously there's an issue with that there. Other things, and this is the major thing, is the camera. So if I go to camera now, camera, let's just point it away from me. Right, it doesn't work. And it's not that it's a faulty camera, it's a fault on the motherboard, because this phone has been submerged. There's two little things. There's a thing in here, the SIM card to check, and there's also a red dot up here as well. Sorry, not a red dot, it should be a white dot. Can you see here? And that should show for water damage as well. So 100% this good phone that I bought hasn't been water damaged. But on this one, it's got a huge red dot on it. So the motherboard itself has got corroded where the camera attachment goes on it. And then where it's been pulled off, it's missing pins, so there's absolutely no way now I can get the camera to work. But yet the front-facing camera does work. So if I hit this button here, you will now hopefully see my ceiling. There you go, look at my hand. So it is possible to use the camera, but you're going to have to use it, you know, face the other way, and you can't see what you're taking. Also, if I ring it from my current working phone, let me just ring it. That side of it appears to be fine, and the speaker and the microphone's fine. There we go. Just turn that off. So basically, it's kind of like a half-working phone, which is more than good enough for my son, and the fact it's got 64 gigabytes of memory on it is going to be great for gaming. So it's kind of like a glorified iPod with the ability to make a few phone calls as well. I've got no credit on this to dial out at the moment, because it's just a SIM card with no credit. But it does all appear to be okay, which is pretty good apart from those major flaws of the Siri not working, the Touch ID not working and the camera not working. But I think for £55 that is still worth it, even if it's just to do a game, for example, like Fortnite. So basically that's where we are with that one. So my son is well happy with that and I'm well happy as well because it's a working phone for £55. Really don't fully understand how I got that iCloud thing off it. I thought you had to put a password in, but all I did was that 00000. Maybe it was the weird combination of it being, you know, off for ages, followed by me putting a SIM card in, followed by me trying to get the iPad next to it to set it up that way, and then putting in the zeros. I don't know, but either way, it just started working. Unfortunately I didn't film it, but this was going over hours and hours and hours looking at it, so it would have been too hard to film. So where we are right now is I've got the working phone here that needs a new screen because this screen does not work, obviously because of water damage. I do have to change this little button here over to the new screen because this silver one was the one that came with the working phone. Now the screen that was on the working phone 100% is an aftermarket one, and this little silver button that was on the screen might not be the original Touch ID, it might be the aftermarket one, in which case then the Touch ID is not going to work. The seller didn't say that in the listing, so I'm hoping the Touch ID does work, but I'm not going to know that until I swap it over. So I did get myself a screen, and I also got myself a little spare screw kit as well. So I've got this, you can buy the whole lot of screws. Now I know these are not going to be the original ones, but I got the whole lot of screws for I think it was like 99p or something like that. It wasn't a lot of money, and they just come in here. So I got a pack with the silver ones, and I also got a pack with the rose gold ones as well. So now I'll be able to replace those screws at the bottom, because remember the screws at the bottom were missing on that one. So you can get the spares really cheap. That one comes with a couple of screwdrivers as well. So where I am now is that I've got some spare screws that I need to put in, and also I've got a screen in here. It's this one here. Now I know it defeats the purpose of having an iPhone with a third-party screen, because like I said earlier, the screen is the best part, but I need to be mindful of the amount of money I'm spending on it, because obviously it was a broken up phone to be, you know, it was a broken phone to begin with. I don't want to spend too much money on it. And realistically, if I haven't got a proper screen to compare to, I think I'll be probably happy, because I've been actually walking around with this rubbish Vodafone one for the last 6 months because my decent phone broke, and I've just had to revert it back to one from a few years ago. So what I've done is I've got one here with the camera and everything built into it, so I haven't got to change anything over apart from the Touch ID. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to change the Touch ID over, and then put it on this phone here, and hopefully we will have one working phone and also one partially working phone for £160, which will be pretty good. So yeah, let me get on with that now. Right, so I'm just going to be fast forwarding through this. So basically I'm taking the Touch ID off this one here, which is on the 40 screen, and putting it onto here, and hopefully this Touch ID is the original one that came with the silver Vodafone iPhone 6s. Okay, so that's the third party one, and I'm hoping I'm going to put in now what is the original one, but it might not be. It might just be a third party one, because you don't actually need the Touch ID, you can just be using it as a normal home button. But that went in very easy, so hopefully there's no damage there. Right, that feels okay. Now if you're wondering why it looks a bit funny here, it's because I took this battery out to put into the good phone, so I've had to put new double-sided tape underneath it, and then I've just left this bit here just in case I do want to pull it out again in the future. Hopefully I'll be able to just use this sort of double-sided tape to pull it out. It's quite clever how they do it. There's a little thing you peel at the bottom, and then you gently peel it down. It's quite therapeutic. You just stretch and stretch and stretch, and it pulls all the sticky tape from underneath here as you pull it out and pull it out, and then the battery just comes out really nice and easy. There's just a connector here, so it's very easy to do. Right, okay, I've got to be careful now, so I'm going to get all this, all the screws ready, so when it goes back in, it will be fine. Because I don't want to put that screen when I put it back in over 90 degrees if I can help it. These just push on, but it's quite hard to line up, and if you're not careful you can end up damaging the little connectors on here, you see. or possibly on the motherboard as well. Right, that appears to be in. So now I'm going to put that on it there. I'm going to start with the long screw. Right, okay, they're finally in. That job took 30 times longer than it should have done, purely because I didn't have good screw management, and I just threw them all into the same container rather than actually keeping them all separate. So that's really important to do if I ever take one of these apart again. Right, okay, so I think we're all done. I think everything's back together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it on to begin with without doing anything, without putting it all back together. I'm not sure, this battery might be flat now. Right, so this might need to be charged up, because maybe it was on because the screen's been out of it for so long. So let me just plug it in and see what happens. Right, okay, it vibrated there. Slightly worrying that nothing's coming on the screen. Well, I know the screen's definitely on because I can feel it there. Maybe I need to fully turn it off. Not sure how to do it on these iPhones. I think you just... Let me try it on this one here. Let me see if I can do it without swiping the screen. So let me just turn it on. Right, so that's the same as that. Because I know when you change the screen you have to turn it off and then back on again, or ideally it should be off to begin with. Right, I'm not sure of the way that you turn these off. Let me see if I can do a home button on this one. Right, okay, so that turns it off. So let me try and do that here now. Home button and this one. Well, actually, I think that just resets it because this one's turning back on now. The other one. Oh, here we go, that's on now, so that's good. And this one's on. So that's how you reset it. So when you change the screen over, it doesn't just automatically kick in. You've got to wait, you've got to basically turn the phone off and on again, or ideally the phone should be off. It's just that when you're taking the phone apart to begin with, then it's, you know, when you're taking it apart, it's so easy just to hit the power button. Right, okay, so I'm just going to put the passcode in. Actually, it says put the passcode in, but I didn't have the, I'm trying to think now, did I try and set this phone up before? I don't think I did. Right, well anyway, the screen's working, so what I'm going to do is, before I muck anything up, I'm going to put it back in properly. So I'm going to take the charger out of it. Put the top bit in first, and now gently push it all the way around. And I've got a little screen here, thingy cover on, so it's going to look nicer when I do that. It says Touch ID is ready to be set up in this phone, so hopefully it will work, because I'm pretty sure on the other one it said Touch ID cannot be set up. Right, okay, let's take this off and see if Touch ID is going to work. Enter your passcode. Let me just try something off screen. Right, okay, I must have done this one before. Right, okay, finish setting up iPhone. Touch ID is ready to be set up. I just want to see if that works. No SIM card installed. Well, that's okay. Right, okay, let me get my SIM card stuff sorted out and then I'll come back to this. And I'm just going to charge it up as well. So I'm going to come back to this in about 20 minutes or so. Right, okay, now I'm not going to go through a whole setup video on this because obviously that's a different video and this video is already far too long, but let me just pop the SIM card in. I just want to make sure that that Touch ID works, because I'm a little bit worried about that. Right, so I put my Vodafone SIM in now, and let's unlock it. Also, this screen's very dark as well, so I want to see if I can brighten this up. So let's just set up Touch ID. Right, here we go. Continue. Oops, you clicked. Okay. Oh, well, look. Looks like it's going to work. Yes, it does work. Brilliant. I was worried about that because I thought it might be an aftermarket button and then that wouldn't have worked. But as you can see, it is working. Really, I should have done this with my thumb, but what I'll do is I'll set that up afterwards. Right, okay. Right, so what I'm going to do now is just see if I can change the brightness on this. Okay. What time is it in London?
It's 13:26
Okay,
in
so
London.
Siri's definitely working. Now, brightness. How do I do that now? Oh, here we go, up from the bottom. Right, brightness. Ah, that's better. That's better. Right, let's see what that looks like. Right, okay, well, that will do me. Looks good enough. Just need to put the little special Apple screws back in here now. So I got some with the little screw kit that I bought. And on the other phone, I'm going to change them to rose gold ones because I took the one out of here. Right, so they're in now. This one over here doesn't seem to be gripping. I didn't actually check on the inside to see whether it actually goes into anything or not, or whether that's missing. But one goes in, so it's going to be held with one screw anyway, so that's good enough. Yeah, there's no point in having that one there. It's only that one that's going to hold it. Right, okay, now I'm just going to do a quick comparison. See, now this is OCD for you. I, a minute ago, was more than happy with this phone that I've just changed the screen on until I compared it to the other iPhone and also my daughter's iPhone 7. Now, I just want to show you this. If you have a look at between these two, so this is a proper Apple screen and this one is the aftermarket one, but the one that came with the good phone, you know, the 105 phone. And basically on this one, both the brightnesses are up full. And you know, there's quite a good range on it, so when it's low it's almost black and it goes right the way up. Now if you have a look at this this one here, so basically between these two, although this is an aftermarket screen, they both look as good as each other. And obviously with this one here, the Touch ID functions does work, you know, the not Touch ID, you know, the, is it called 3D Touch, where you press it more than once, not just a touch screen, it depends on how much you press it. But now look at this one here. So to begin with, the Touch ID is working, which is great. But check out the difference in the screen. So now, if you have a look, this is up full, and as far as I know, it's not in any kind of like brightness mode or anything. Hold on, it's not in any battery saving mode or anything. But when it's down, it doesn't. It seems to still show up a little bit more than the others. There doesn't seem to be the range, and when it's full, there's definitely a big difference there. So if you look at both of them now, can you see? I mean, I'm not sure if that's coming across in the camera. And that's not the trick of light in my room, because if I put it that way, just look at the waves there. Can you see that this one here is much whiter than this one? And this one's up full. So on its own, this is absolutely fine. But when you compare it to another screen, like a good third-party one, I presume that's a good one, and the original Apple one, it's no difference. This is an iPhone 7, but you can see there. So it's kind of weird. So yes, I'm still pleased with this, but in hindsight now, I kind of wish maybe I'd spent another £10 and got a screen that was maybe £25 to £30, because then it would be more like this. As I say, it is just a bit of obsession, you know, a bit of OCD, because if I wasn't looking at these, I'd be more than happy with this, and it's plenty bright enough. But now I know it's not as bright as the others, I'm sort of thinking, yeah, it does look a bit dull. It's not very vibrant. So I think it would be worth investing in a better screen if I was to do this again. But there you go. That is my story of buying faulty iPhones on eBay, and in this instance here, I'm still more than pleased with it to have these two phones working as well as they do for the price that I got them for. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want more fix-it videos, please subscribe to my channel. And not just fix-it videos, more how-to videos as well. So that's it. Take care. Bye now.